I had rehearsed the moment in my head 1,000 times. How I'd kneel, how she'd gasp, how her eyes would fill with the kind of joy that once came so easily between us. But when Jessica walked away from my proposal without a word, without even looking back, it felt like someone had quietly removed the floor beneath me. No crash, no dramatic fall. Just a sudden heavy emptiness. We'd been together for 4 years. She used to say she loved how steady I was, how grounded I stayed even in chaos. "You make me feel safe, Ethan," she'd whisper whenever life overwhelmed her. But somewhere along the way, her words changed. She became restless, easily irritated, always drifting in and out of conversations, like her body was present, but her mind had already left the room. I kept hoping it was a phase, something we could push through if I stayed patient enough. That evening I chose the quiet Riverside Park in Portland, Oregon, where we'd had our first date. It was peaceful, with string lights glowing softly along the path and a gentle breeze rippling the Willamette River. I was nervous, but it was the hopeful kind, the kind where you feel your life is about to shift in a beautiful direction. The moment she stepped out of the car, though, I felt something off. She kept checking her phone, glancing at the screen as if waiting for someone else to call her away. Still, I pushed through. When I took her hands and told her how deeply I loved her, she wouldn't meet my eyes. When I knelt, her breath caught, but not with happiness. More like alarm. She took a step back. Another. Then she said quietly, "No, Ethan, I can't do this," and turned away like the moment meant nothing. She kept walking until the darkness swallowed her silhouette. No explanation, no attempt to soften the blow, just a clean, cold exit. I stayed kneeling long after she left, the ring still in my hand, my knees growing numb on the wooden deck. At some point, a couple walking their dog glanced at me with pity in their eyes, but I couldn't move. I wasn't embarrassed. I was stunned, like the person I thought I knew had simply vanished. The next morning she didn't call, not even a text. I waited, telling myself she needed space. But something inside me had already cracked. I finally messaged her. "I'm here if you want to talk." She read it. Didn't reply. The silence stretched for 2 days. On the 3rd day, I drove to her apartment in Seattle. I didn't want to force anything. I just couldn't make sense of what had happened. When she opened the door, I knew instantly that the conversation was already decided. Jessica looked tired, irritated, like I was the one who had wronged her. "We shouldn't do this," she said before I even stepped inside. "Then talk to me," I said quietly. "I deserve that much." For a moment she hesitated. Her eyes flickered with something. Guilt, maybe, or regret, but it vanished just as quickly. She stepped aside and I entered the living room. Her suitcase lay half open on the couch. Clothes, makeup, charger, perfume. She was packing. "You're leaving?" I asked. "For a few days," she said. "I need to think." The words hit me like cold water. "Jessica, you didn't just say no. You walked away." She pressed her lips together. "Because I panicked. Because I feel trapped. Ethan, everything feels so suffocating lately." "Suffocating," I repeated. "We barely even argue." "That's the problem," she said sharply. "You want things so calm, so perfect all the time. And I can't breathe in that." I stared at her, unsure if I'd heard right. She was blaming me for not fighting with her more, for not drowning her in chaos. "I love you," I said softly. "I thought we were building something real." She shook her head, eyes darting away. "I don't know what I want anymore." That somehow hurt more than her walking away at the river. Not knowing what she wanted after 4 years meant I had spent those years holding on to an illusion. I walked to the door slowly. She didn't stop me, didn't ask me to stay, didn't even try to fix the hole she'd punched straight through us. When I reached my car, I realized something sharp, painful but honest. I wasn't losing her. She had already been gone long before the night she walked away. The next morning I didn't call. I didn't text. I simply sat in my apartment, letting the quiet settle around me. For the first time in years I felt unshackled. Not happy, certainly not, but awake, alert. Every thought about Jessica that had cluttered my mind was now sharp, crystal clear. She had made her choice. I was free to make mine. By mid-afternoon, I decided to drive to the little cafe we used to frequent in the Pearl District. It was a place full of memories, and part of me wanted to see if the ghosts of our past would follow me there. They didn't. The barista gave me a nod, recognized me, but didn't pry. I ordered a coffee, sat by the window, and watched people pass by, couples, strangers, laughter, arguments, all of it moving along without me. And for the first time, it felt like I belonged to no one but myself. That night, I didn't sleep well. My mind replayed the river, her apartment, the weight of her rejection. I tried to tell myself it was for the best, but the truth was sharper. I had loved her, trusted her, built my life around her presence, and she had vanished, not out of hatred, not even entirely out of disdain, but because she didn't want to be tied down, because her feelings weren't strong enough, or maybe they had never been. It was a brutal clarity, and it cut deep. On the third day, I went for a long drive. The city lights blurred into streaks as I sped along the highway, a storm of emotions swirling inside me. Anger, sadness, betrayal, but also a strange liberation. It wasn't about revenge, not really. It was about reclaiming myself from the ghost of someone who had never fully been mine. Later that week, I returned home to find a message on my voicemail. Jessica, short, hesitant. Ethan, I'm sorry. Can we talk? I listened, paused the message, and then deleted it. My hand hovered over the keys for a moment, almost instinctively, but I didn't respond. I realized something vital. Closure doesn't always come from words, from apologies, or from explanations. Sometimes it comes from action, choosing yourself over the chaos someone else drags into your life. Over the following days, I started rebuilding. Small things first. I cooked meals I actually liked, not the ones I thought she'd appreciate. I went on walks without looking for her somewhere ahead of me. I even started journaling again, something I had abandoned years ago. Every entry was raw, honest, and unfiltered. A mirror reflecting my own thoughts instead of trying to guess hers. It was during one of these walks that I saw her, Jessica, across the street with another man, laughing in a way that had once belonged to me. My chest tightened, and for a split second I thought I'd explode. But then I remembered the ring, the dock, her turning away, and a strange calm settled over me. She wasn't my responsibility. She hadn't been for a long time. What I had built, what I had become, was mine alone. The rest was gone. A week later, I ran into an old friend, Lauren, at the grocery store. We hadn't spoken in years, but she noticed the change immediately. "You look lighter," she said, smiling. "It suits you." I laughed because it was true. I felt lighter, freer. I didn't need validation from her anymore. I realized that for so long I had tried to find my worth through Jessica's eyes. Her rejection had been a brutal mirror, but it had also shown me something invaluable. The only approval I needed was my own. 2 months passed. I focused on myself, work, friends, my own hobbies. I traveled a little, reconnected with people I had neglected. And then one evening I received a letter, not from her, but from her friend Megan, the one who had been my silent witness at every crossroad. She wrote simply, "Jessica realized too late what she had. You deserve someone who doesn't walk away at the first scare." I smiled, folded the letter, and put it in my drawer. No anger, no longing, just acknowledgement of the truth. By the time the 6-month mark rolled around, I was no longer haunted by her departure. I had created a life for myself that didn't hinge on someone else's affection. It was quiet, yes, but steady, real. And for the first time, I realized that love wasn't about holding on to someone who didn't want to stay. It was about honoring yourself enough to walk away when you must. I don't know where Jessica is now. I don't think about her daily anymore. But when I do, I remember the river, the apartment, the rejection, not with bitterness but as a lesson. She walked away from my proposal. I walked away from her life, and in doing so, I reclaimed my own. That's the kind of clarity no one can give you. You earn it through heartbreak, patience, and the courage to stop clinging to something that was never fully yours. And in that quiet, reclaimed life, I finally feel whole. Not because the story ended the way I wanted, but because I chose myself over the illusion of us. The pain fades. The lesson remains.